What's up, guys? It's ActusXD here. World of Warcraft Season of Mastery is launching in exactly 1 week, and I have been smashing the absolute bejesus out of New World. And I'm like, what one am I going to play? If I'm having that difficulty in deciding, then I'm guessing you are too. I reckon we can have a different analysis for 3 different categories of gamer. Your total casual, like the kind of person that's going to take 4 phases of WoW to get to level 60, your average player, and the hardcore player. I personally fall into the average player, I would say. I try usually to play with a hardcore kind of mindset, but I only play about average hours. Presently, New World suits categories 1 and 2 the best, I would say, and I think that Season of Mastery will suit categories 2 and 3 the best. Do you like those hand gestures? I've been working on them in front of the mirror. We can break our players down into sort of 4 different kinds of categories, and they will be own and play New World and play WoW Classic. Own and play New World, didn't play WoW Classic. Don't own New World, played WoW Classic. Don't own New World, didn't play Classic. Come on, category 4, get it together. If you fall into category 3 or 4, here is a 30-second rundown on New World. New World doesn't have classes, instead weapons give you 3 abilities. You can wear 2 weapons at once, so that's 6 total abilities. When you change weapons, the abilities change. New World has the usual class archetypes, DPS, healer, tank. The game is heavily based around a crafting / profession system, which is very grindy, but it's also a lot of fun. The professions I find in New World are heaps more fun than in WoW. At endgame, gear drops are determined by what they refer to as a watermark. All gear drops for you will be below or at your watermark, and more difficult monsters have a chance to roll items that will increase your high watermark. One of the main forms of endgame content at the moment is doing daily chest runs so that you have the most chance of increasing your high watermark so that you can grind the best gear. That's probably the number 1 thing that players like in the hardcore category are doing at the moment. There are 3 factions similar to Horde and Alliance in WoW, and you can change your faction once every 4 months. You can PvE with other factions, it doesn't matter, but you cannot PvP with them, except in specific circumstances, but don't pull me up on pedantry, alright? Steve, I see you. Companies, or WoW's version is guilds, control territories, zones, and can set taxes on things like crafting, trading, house ownership, and everyone that's in the town at that time has to pay a tax on if you put something on the AH, if you buy it off the AH, if you craft something in that town, and it goes to the company who owns the territory's treasury. Other factions can fill a bar called influence in a territory by doing PvP missions in the zone. When the bar's filled, then they can declare war on the territory to try and wrestle ownership of the territory from the owning company to their own company. Wars are 50v50 battles fought for ownership of a territory. They're almost like a raid in a sense that they're scheduled ahead of time. Companies who own territory set the window in which they want to be attacked, and then attackers have to, if attackers choose to fight, they have to fight at that time. There are other endgame things to be doing. One of them is PvP, wars, which we've spoken about, and a battleground, so to speak, called Outpost Rush, which is basically a 20v20 Alterac Valley. It's got PvE and PvP objectives, and you have to hold points to win, like Arathi Basin. So it's like Arathi Valley, Alterac Basin. If you fall into category 2 or 4, here's a 30-second rundown on what Season of Mastery is going to be like. Categories 1 and 3 can skip. Season of Mastery is WoW Classic, which was Vanilla WoW, the game that was released in 2004, I think, 17 years ago. Original WoW Classic, released in August 2019, was no changes. The community decided that we didn't want anything to be changed about the vanilla game, and so that's what WoW Classic was. Season of Mastery is WoW Classic with some changes. So to go into every little detail and to understand what I'm about to talk about here, you might need some understanding about WoW Classic, but here we go anyway. Mage boosting is hopefully going to be gone now. That was a major problem for gold selling, gold buying, and you really didn't have to engage in the 1 to 60 content. Leveling speed has been increased. You level at the TBC pre-patch rate, which means that on average, levels 1 to 60 require about 20% less experience total. And quests, not mobs, but quests give more XP. So you will level quite a bit faster, up to like maybe 25% to 30% faster. World buffs do not persist once you zone into a raid. World buffs were probably the biggest hurdle, the biggest problem to getting into raiding in WoW Classic. So basically you would spend a whole lot of time to lock your character out from fun, hoping and praying to God that you didn't die once and ruin the whole week. They were the worst thing in my opinion in WoW Classic, and they are gone in raids. Not in other places, but in raids. Other changes include raid bosses having a lot more health, mostly around the twice as much mark. That's a mathematical term. And quite a few have additional mechanics. Because the raid bosses are harder and they have more health, you will now see all the original mechanics. In some instances, many mechanics have either been around ramped up or new mechanics have been created to make the bosses slightly more interesting. PvP ranking takes half as long as it did. BGs and PvP ranking will be in the game from release. All phases are going to be 2 months long and the game will end after 12 months. That's our 2 game analyses. Obviously, I missed a lot of things because I was only trying to speak for 30 seconds, although my version of 30 seconds and talking goes for like 4.5 minutes. Before we get into looking at comparing and helping to make a decision, I just want to take a second to politely request that if you're enjoying this video, finding it informative or entertaining, that you consider hitting the like button, and if you want to see more of my content, then subscribing. Really helps me out a huge amount as I just try and grow this channel. I'm really keen to try and get more people into the community. At the end of this video, I'll put a little thing about what I hope to achieve with some community building stuff, and if you want to be a part of something from the ground floor, hit the subscribe button and let's be a team, you and I. Otherwise, if you just want to get your good deed for the day over and done with, hit the like button. It would mean a huge amount to me. It really does help out more than you could possibly imagine. And if you wind up doing either of those 2 things, then I genuinely really thank you. So here's what we know in regards to opportunity cost. Season of Mastery is going to be around for 12 months. Season of Mastery is subscription based with no upfront cost. New World has an upfront cost with no subscription. New World is brand new. WoW has been around for 17 years. Season of Mastery has a huge amount of endgame content, although if you're a returning player, it's going to be stuff you've already experienced, and there's going to be a barrier of entry in terms of trying to farm the materials needed for your consumes. New World does not have much specific endgame content. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there's not stuff to do when you're level 60, because there's a heap of stuff, but in terms of specific endgame content, I think we have 2 dungeons, open world farming for your high watermark, Operation, no, OP doesn't stand for Operation, Outpost Rush, and Wars. That means if you step away from Season of Mastery and don't play it for 12 months, you miss it. If you step away from New World and you don't play it for 12 months, it will still be there. In the future, we might get another Season of Mastery. The fact that there's season in the title makes me think that that's what Blizzard intend to do, but we don't know. Nothing's been announced yet. In 12 months' time, we don't know what New World will look like. Will there be new content? Yes. The conclusion to draw in regards to opportunity cost, therefore, is that you can miss out on Season of Mastery. You cannot miss out on New World. You will obviously miss out on things in the game, but if you choose not to play Season of Mastery, every day you don't play is a day that is gone from the 12-month time window. In terms of opportunity cost then, Season of Mastery wins out. What are our other considerations to be thinking of? For me, something that I'm strongly wary of is the fact that World of Warcraft Classic TBC are solved games. What that means is people know the most efficient way to do literally everything. It is insane the extent to which the game has been played to the highest standard at every level. People know the most efficient path to each profession. People know the most efficient path through every dungeon, including skips, through walls, up. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Terrain, up terrain that you would not think you were otherwise able to go through, skipping mobs that you would think you would otherwise have to kill. When the game launches, there are people who will know exactly what price each item will go for, and they will, stuff that you think you should easily be able to get your hands on will be extremely expensive because people have gamed the system so much. They know exactly what people are going to want. They will hoard the stuff and then sell it back to you at an exorbitant price. Playing Season of Mastery for the first time will be like watching a movie that you haven't seen before with a heap of friends who are watching it for the 30,000th time. And all of them will be quoting every single line at 1.5 times the speed that the actors are saying it. They will give spoilers. They will skip any scene that doesn't directly advance the storyline for the entire length of the movie. If you're that player and hanging out and having a laugh with your friends while getting through the movie as efficiently as possible is what sounds fun to you, then you could consider Season of Mastery. But if you haven't previously stepped foot into the ecosystem of WoW Classic, you need to understand that you will be behind the 8 ball. Considerations in New World. Well, what do we know so far? New World has been plagued with bugs, exploits, gold dupes, all kinds of, let's say, cheats in terms of people going invulnerable, doing a heap of things that they shouldn't otherwise be able to do to advance their own standing. There is a devoted dev team that is working incredibly hard to fix those problems, and with every passing week, more and more problems are solved. There is incredible communication on the forums and from the Twitter as to what the dev teams are doing. New World devs are actively working to fix and make their game as good as possible. They want to get a cash shop into the game and start making us throw our money at it so that they can really profit off the game. I'm really keen to do that kind of stuff because I'm a sucker and like to donate my money to billionaires so they can ride phallic ships into space. New World will release new content in the next 12 months, in the coming 12 months. There are 5 or 6 more dungeons already announced, a new zone. There are a heap of new weapons in the works. There are going to be more changes to the way the game plays, fixing exploits, closing bugs, just generally iterating on the current status of the game to make it better, as well as implementing new content to give you something to do at the end game. If you leave for 12 months, you will miss out on all of that as it happens. You can come back in 12 months and play the version of the game as it stands then, but you will miss out on going into the dungeons with your friends for the first time and exploring. Unless you play with your internet connection off, then you are just naturally going to find out some of these solved things. Classic WoW and TBC at least, and we presume Season of Mastery, are at least relatively free of major bugs and exploits. But they might be lucky to have one intern who looks at them once a month in their lunch break. Although, to be fair, it does look like this is a slightly different story with Season of Mastery, but certainly for WoW Classic and TBC, there is, in stark juxtaposition to New World, very little communication from the devs, very little information about what's in the works. For instance, TBC, we got notified that the next phase was coming out like that, with very little time to prepare, and there's been no communication about what their plans for releasing content going forward are, even though they don't have to do anything other than literally just say, hey, we're planning on releasing this content in the next 2 to 3 months. There you go, players. Whilst New World and World of Warcraft are both MMO RPGs, they are very different games. New World is grindier and of a different sort of grind to World of Warcraft. New World has luck gear, so you need to get a set of gear that has mining luck, a set that has fishing luck, a set that has skinning luck, yada, 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 yada. To be as efficient as possible, you want to have a set of each of these gear types and equip them when you're doing that certain thing. WoW is about grinding to get your absolute BIS, which everyone is infatuated with. New World is about grinding iterative gear to be better in multiple ways, in multiple formats. It's about generating as good sets of gear as you can across a broad spectrum to be as efficient as you can. New World is a targeted MMO. I'm just making that term up. There might be an actual term for it, but it means unlike WoW where you click and select your target and then press a button and your spell fires straight at it, New World you are aiming your spells, your attacks, your abilities, and so you are able to aim your musket at someone's head and take a headshot, which crits. You're not just pressing hamstring, the server's doing a check to make sure you're within range and it's going off or not. I could probably talk for about 30 hours on both games, and if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see me do that. But let's really get into the meat of it, and let's figure out what I plan on doing. So me personally, I played WoW Classic intermittently, and I still raid log in TBC. And so I plan on leveling a human warrior in Seasons of Mastery and ranking to 10 or 11 in PvP, and perhaps doing some Nax Ramus, because those are 2 things I missed out on doing. I will continue to play New World, and I'll continue creating content for New World. In this way, I can realize my few goals in World of Warcraft and play with some friends from my old retail guild, but I will continue to be able to play New World, although I'll probably move slightly even more into that average tier of player that we spoke about, and about a bit back from hardcore. So what should you do? I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it really is a personal choice and you need to choose, but let's work through some of the things that you might be thinking. If you're a casual player, it's kind of difficult to make an argument for Seasons of Mastery if you haven't already fallen in love with the original version of World of Warcraft. You will be behind the 8 ball in so many significant ways. As long as you are cognizant of that and you go in eyes wide open, then that's fine. If you're a casual player and you're like me and that you feel like you missed out on ticking off some goals in WoW Classic or Vanilla, then now's a great time to jump back in, take advantage of the renewed leveling time, the renewed interest in Seasons of Mastery to jump in and tick off those goals. If you're more in tier 2, the average gamer tier, then New World is a damn good game and it's only going to get better. It's had a lot of problems and it does at the moment, but the dev team is working hard to improve the game with every week. And I would say an average player for New World is just now sort of getting to 60, and you're just now going to be getting into the stuff that sets your character up to really get into that new content as it's released, and be taking advantage of the most fun things that are still to come in New World. If you're a hardcore player, then I doubt you need me to tell me what you want to do, but it seems to me that if you are hardcore and already have New World, you're likely to about be done with most of the things that you wanted to achieve for the present version of the game. Season of Mastery is hardcore friendly in that it suits the mindset of the most efficient path to success, and it's going to reward players who put in the most time it's by giving them the best results. A hardcore player is also likely to be able to obtain level 60 in WoW and do the phase 1 and 2 content, which is Molten Core, Elixir, and the world bosses, to a sufficient standard before any of of the really exciting stuff comes out in New World. So if you're that level of hardcore player, then you just jump over to Seasons of Mastery, smash it out for 2-3 months, come back to New World, best of both worlds. At the end of the day, I think New World suits casual and average players a lot better, and I think Season of Mastery suits hardcore players a lot better. Although it does depend where your loyalties lie, whether you want to play a solved game or not, or whether you want to get out and experience a New World as it just develops and put up with the bugs and the exploits while they get solved. I don't really have an awesome place to do this kind of thing, so I'm just tacking it at the end of this video. If you are currently subscribed to me, then thank you very much. And if you're considering doing it and you're still watching this end random bit of the video, then I encourage you to jump and smash the subscribe button. I've been trying to think of some ways that we can start creating a bit more community as you know, more and more people are subscribing, which is awesome. I would really encourage everyone to jump into the Discord. It's kind of quiet at the moment because I only created it when no one was subscribed, so no one's in there talking. But if we can start getting people to jump in there, I'm really keen to start creating a community of people that have been around since, you know, these early days, and hopefully we can one day look back and be like, you know, I've been following ActusXD for however long and I've been part of the community, and I want to reward those people who have been around forever. I'm thinking of creating a bit of a particular rank for people that are being subscribed and in the Discord and talking and that kind of stuff for since, you know, that maybe under 200 or 400 or 500 subs and that kind of thing. And then there's a way where we can all just have a chat and make it a bit more of a community feel rather than just me shouting videos at you. I'd love to be able to connect with more people, hopefully play some games with some of you, that kind of thing. So if you would like to be a part of that and you're not currently subscribed, then hit the button. And if you want to sort of get in and we can start brainstorming some stuff that, you know, makes an actual community rather than just me hitting publish on a video every now and then jump in the Discord and let's have a chat. And when I made the last video and I asked people to subscribe, it was like, I think I maybe had 80 subs, and in the space of 2 days and no actual more videos since then, I've gone to 145. It's like, it's really made my whole week. It's been so much fun. I keep jumping out to my partner being like, Bonnie, look, I got more subs. The other thing to say is that still only 7.6% of people are subscribed who are spending time watching the video. So if you haven't already done it, then smash the button. We will see you in Discord or in the next video, or both.